in this video, I'm going to cover why, I felt stuck in the past and how you yourself can get unstuck as long as my phone doesn't move all the way down. I'm going to use a visual aid for this as well, so let's jump into my computer and we will end up getting this going. So essentially the reason why I've been stuck in the past and why I haven't been able to achieve the things that I wanted to achieve is due to this one simple concept right here. It's the simplest concept that I don't think many people, at least I didn't understand it for the longest time, and it is essentially this right here. Self. So self is the biggest driving factor in us not being able to achieve what we want to achieve in our lives. If we want to have anything, if we want to have the car, if we want to have the girl, if we want to have the body, if we want to have balance, if we want to have calmness in our mind, it all comes down to self. So right now, essentially, at least for me, how I've had my mind in the past, so here's me with my little smiley face. It's very great, fantastic drawing. So what we have, more or less, is we have myself. And we have all these other thoughts that are being pushed into my head from, we could have family members, let's do family, we have friends, that's an N, we have friends, wow, ENDS, we have friends, and then we have, let's say, girls. And they're all putting these other ideas into our head. They're all making us think this specific way. It's like, oh, you need to act this way. You need to behave this way. You need to do X, Y, Z thing. And that's the things that I used to do. And I would let those thoughts come into my mind and I'd let them come into my being, which then in turn would bring this little happy guy right here over to a worried guy where it's like, oh crap, am I actually doing what I should be? Am I doing the right thing or am I not doing the right thing? It would bring a lot of overthinking, which it's not a great thing to overthink. And I would overthink every situation within my head. I'd stay up super late at night. I'd be over analyzing every single situation, conversation that I had throughout the given day. And I was like, I can't be doing this anymore. This is getting ridiculous. What is happening right now? Because there was a time in my life when I didn't have all this overthinking. I didn't have all this confusion within my own head of who am I? What am I doing? Where am I going? All these different thoughts that I had racing throughout my mind. And I was like, I'm tired of having these thoughts. I'm tired of having this go on within my head. So I was like, I need to stop doing this specific thing. And I didn't know how to do that because it's I was having these other thoughts of oh, you should have done this, or why are you reading these books, or why are you working, or why are you making videos? And I'd have all these internal thoughts go within my own head. And I started to realize those thoughts, they weren't mine. So the thoughts that everybody was bringing into me of oh, you should be doing this, or you should be doing XYZ thing, I came to realize that those thoughts were just the thoughts that somebody else was putting on me. So I had to get rid of those thoughts. And that's the hardest part that I had to struggle with, and it's taken me a couple of months to be able to get to that point. But I was able to get past that and realize that those thoughts aren't mine through a simple concept that I've kind of picked up on. And essentially, meditation helps a lot. And I can help you guys out with some meditation tactics, or at least different ways to meditate, so you can have a little bit more clarity with your thinking. The biggest clarity step that I took by realizing that what thoughts are mine versus what thoughts are somebody else's was through self-reflection, was through quiet, was through realizing that looking at myself in the mirror and being are these mine? Is this my idea? Or is this somebody else's? Because a lot of these thoughts and these ideas, it's hard for us sometimes to tell which is which. So it's hard for us to be okay, hey, this is mine or this isn't mine. And once I was able to realize hey, this is my thought, this is what I want to do, then the shifting changed in my life, and I had to go through a process where like I did some grieving, I did some soul searching, I did some deep insightful questions that helped me realize that like, hey, this is me, this is mine, this is what I can do with my life. It's just there's a lot of times, and as I didn't always have this thinking. I was always just like this happy guy that was like, I'm just going to do what I want to do. And that's how I was able to post content before online, because I didn't get into this overthinking of like, oh, what is this person going to think when I post this post? And I started to go down that spiral of like, oh, is this valuable? Is this not valuable? Or like, how can I provide something that is worth saying? And I've kind of shifted my thinking to being like, these are just videos that I like to do. These are videos that I just like to create because they're ideas that I have within my own head, and hopefully maybe they'll inspire somebody else to take action, or they'll inspire somebody else to do something with their life that they didn't think was possible, because I didn't understand any of this when I first started. And then I've just started to explore different avenues of trying to figure out like what thoughts are mine versus what thoughts aren't mine. And that's why it all comes from within, because society, they teach us and they tell us like, hey, you need to do XYZ thing. You need to go buy the house. You need to get married. You need to have kids. You need to invest in this. You need to invest in that. Like, you need to do all these things if you want to find happiness. And from what I've been able to glean from my own self-reflection, from my journaling, from me making videos like this, from me sitting and meditating, I've started to realize that it's not outside. Everything's within us. Like, the main person that we need to conquer or question, look within, is ourself. And when we do look at ourself and we see all these things that may have happened to us in the past, all these bad things that maybe we did, maybe the things that we said, or like the people that we hurt, like we have all these other aspects that we've done in the past, and we have to realize that when we do look inside, we can't shame ourselves. We can't shame the man that is within, because we can't shame that person, because if we shame that person, it's essentially like we're shaming ourselves, and we don't want to shame ourselves in doing these negative things, because at the time, like, we didn't know any better. We didn't have any of this information. We didn't have this insight that we have now, and this understanding, this clarity. So when we look within and we question ourselves and we ask, like, what do we want? Who are we? We can't allow ourselves, at least this is something that I've realized, is like, I couldn't allow myself to think negatively. I couldn't allow myself to be like, okay, well, I want this because this is what this person wants, or I want this because this is what somebody else thinks that will make me be more successful. I had to go within and look and be like, what do I want? What does Caleb want in his life? How can I achieve the things that I want? And it's a little bit different path from a lot of people out there, because I do want things that are different from most people. Like, this is why I ask questions that are a little bit more in depth. This is why I ask questions, and I inquisitive more into how the mind works and how people behave, because if I can understand how people behave, I can understand myself better. And that's why, like, I have asked these questions, and that's why I have had, like, these different thoughts from the friends, family members, or girls come into me and have led me to that overthinking process and realizing, like, what thoughts are actually mine. And that's why, like, I have had to go through, like, what do I want? Who are we? Is this mine, or is this someone else's? And once I've started to go in and I've reflected upon those ideas and those thoughts, it's shifted my thinking to a way that's allowed for me to overcome any sort of overthinking, overcome any sort of anxiety, overcome any aspect within myself that I once thought to be true. And now I realize that, like, hey, those things aren't true. If we want to have something change within our lives, we can have something change within our lives. It's just a matter of, are you willing to put in that work? Are you willing to, say, give up anime? Are you willing to give up Netflix? Are you willing to give up certain aspects that you once thought to be true to be able to achieve the life that you want to? Because, like, I've been sucked into watching anime for hours and on end, and that's why, like, I have a whole channel, and that's why you guys are watching this video right now, is because it's like, you guys do like anime, you do like that culture, you do like those people. It's just there's more out there than just anime. There's more out there than just watching Netflix or watching TV. Like, there's more than just that bare minimum. And that's why meditation is so beneficial. That's why allowing yourself not to overthink and realizing what thoughts are yours and starting within of yourself is going to completely transform your life. So if you guys want to have a little bit more information on this, let me know. I'm more than happy to share this with you, and I will see you guys in the next video.